Hey guys, Chris here. I want to do a video today to talk about internet porn and how it relates to enmeshment. Guys who've got issues with women and how porn becomes like a safe go-to. And what's the reason to do it? What's the addiction? And, in a way, kind of going through these different things of, well, internet porn's all I've got because relationships aren't good for me. Or I don't really think like it's making too much of a deal, but deep down you kind of know something is. Maybe you speak to people, maybe people who are doing okay with relationships, and they say porn's no big deal, and then you think, oh, it's no problem, it's to do with me, but then you sort of want to escape it. So in terms of internet porn and what this does in terms of enmeshment, so it's a lot to do with the enmeshment, the entanglement with for a guy with his mum, and how that's getting in the way of a sexual relationship. So being with another woman in an enmeshed relationship, a codependent relationship, where a guy's not really got the sort of clear boundaries from with his mum. He's trying to save his mum. He's trying to get her approval. The porn becomes an escape. It becomes a quick release. And sometimes I noticed this in the past where you have an argument with your mum, or you have relationship issues, and straight away porn, or you just have a problem with a woman or getting a woman's approval, straight away you're just craving the porn. And then sometimes what I used to think is that it's just I'm meeting a sexual need. I just need to do this every couple of weeks or so. But as I tuned more into it, it was more the real craving for it at times of moments of real frustration, or even if it was a situation that happened earlier in the day. And I did things like NoFap, where you go a couple of months or so. I've got literally without watching porn. I went a few months, and you start to just maybe not crave it anymore, and you start to come a lot more back to yourself. But then sooner or later you do go back to it. I did do a YouTube video about 6 years ago where I sort of said, look, I've quit porn now, I'm not going back to it. But relationship issues were dealt with, and sooner or later that came back. So again, it shows you that you never really got to the core problem, what's going on underneath. And I think because the dynamic with the mother, which causes a lot of stress, and it does feel that you are cheating on your mum, and you're like in this like weird kind of relationship because of the codependency, because you're meeting each other's needs, because you're not a separate person. And that common thing that does actually happen with relationships is that when you do meet someone else, the mother either becomes quite jealous or very judgmental of your girlfriend or whatever it is, whatever the situation is. And the reason for that is it's because at the end of the day you're not there to meet their needs, and it's like on a subconscious level, although they probably would want you to be happy, they kind of are happy that you're not single and you can still devote, put your attention to them. Or you come into these relationships, and this whole thing never actually goes. It doesn't matter if you're single, you're in a relationship, or you're with single in a relationship, or married, or whatever. It's like there's still the subconscious thing going across with the mum. So in a way, it's and it's a safe option as well to mention in terms of relationships. Meeting women, dating women, getting rejected, getting to the point where you think you're going to have sex with someone and then you don't, is it's just it's the frustrations of life. And with porn you don't have that. Porn is there, it's always available to you, you can access it very quickly. Just open your laptop, and it's very accessible, and you're not going to argue with the woman, and there's not going to be all these other problems. So for a guy, and particularly enmeshed guys, guys who've not really become adult men, it's like you're going back to the porn because it's just such a safe option, and it's never really growing up. Never really just saying like, okay, I'm putting this aside now and I'm going to focus on relationships. So there's a difference between that and the enmeshment and becoming addicted. But I would say with most guys who find them, if you find yourself enmeshed, as I've been sort of explaining on this video series so far, that is the root cause of the problem, which needs to be addressed. So look to maybe cut porn back on the porn, and look to move it away. and to really focus on and knowing you're worthy. You know, a book, The No More Mr. Nice Guy, talks, there's a whole chapter on this, and it's, you know, it's not settling for bad sex, as he says, you know, not settling for just having porn. Literally, even if you go months and months without meeting someone and getting into a relationship, to the fact that you've actually kicked that aside and said, look, I'm not going to go for this, you know. And he sort of says about just, you know, naturally masturbating and, you know, being with yourself, realizing yourself as a sexual person, which the porn just generally does, it escapes you from. But it is actually, there's lots of stuff going on there, although you think it might be just, oh, this is just a thing, and it's, but if you're feeling deep down there's something else going on. Just pay attention to that. What sort of needs are you meeting? What are you running away from? And then eventually you'll start to kick it out of touch and, you know, feel what it feels like to be lonely. Particularly for me, I felt a lot of sexual frustration. That's one of the main things. Literally sit and go like, look, I feel sexually frustrated, or I've gone on this date and it's not gone very well, I feel very sexually frustrated. You know, go through those feelings and sit with them. And as you realize they're no big deal, you can get past them, great. And the big problem as well was anxiety. You know, I've had a few people who've told me this who sort of cut back on it, and they noticed that, you know, very stressed, anxiety, low testosterone, you know, really stripping you of your masculine power of being able to focus and doing all these different things. You know, just ruining the next day or the rest of the day, which this kind of leads to, you know. And it's not as fulfilling as actually, you know, being with a partner. And, you know, if you're single at the moment and stuff, just pay attention to that and know that things will get better, and look to just be okay on your own. So, you know, this is just to put it into your awareness. And then if you're thinking of like quitting porn, like one good thing to do is to really, be honest with yourself what you want. And one thing I found works well is to literally just really research some of this stuff, you know, the porn industry and how it's just not something you know, it's not a really like a love romantic affair, you know. It's something that you're just settling down for, you know, any guy on the planet can access and get pleasure from it. So it'd be much better to really ask for what you really want in a loving relationship. But the enmeshment, the tanglement with mother, or if you're watching this and it's an opposite sex parent, you know, that's just the thing. You know, you need to focus on addressing those issues, and you know, it will eventually go. But yeah, I want to make that video on this today, guys. Just say, you know, you're not alone on this, and it does involve getting to the deep a lot of problems, because sometimes guys can just be like, you know, you can meet someone and then this is always a problem, you know, and then there's the addiction to internet porn, you know, because then there's probably problems with your sex life, and then you're like, well, I'll just go to the porn instead, you know, because it's a safer option, you know. You know, it's a way of, you know, it's not as responsibility, and it's but again, it's very childlike. It's not very much. It's very responsible, very like adult-like, which is all about enmeshment, breaking, you know, into your adult self. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys, and look forward to seeing you on the next video.